Hello everyone! Today I'm going to do a video talking about some of the books that I use in my classes. We will start from the most easy books to the most difficult books that I use. These books are all for children or elementary and high school students. Okay, let's get started. This book is the Daily Phonics textbook. I use this book often with my students who are very young. This book helps students learn new vocabulary and the sounds of the alphabet. I recommend this book for students who are very early in their learning of English or are around the ages of 5 or 6. This book is done on a weekly basis. So the worksheets have day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. It's about 30 weeks of daily worksheets, Monday through Friday. So if you are looking for a textbook where the children can do a worksheet every day, or the worksheet that is a little easier than others, I would recommend this book. The next two books focus on short and long vowels. Phonics book number 1 lets students first start seeing short vowels and a little bit of practice of long vowels. There is an additional book that I have, but that book mostly does only long vowels. So I recommend the Phonics book 1 to start with, but if students need a little extra help, then I will use pages from the long vowels textbook that lets students get extra help learning the difference between, for example, short A, and long A. Short and long vowels can be a little bit difficult for students when they're learning English. For this reason, I usually use this textbook, but additional practice is always helpful. So I'll also give students pages from this textbook if they're having difficulty with a particular sound. This is book 3 in the phonics line. If you notice the difference, this is word study and phonics. This means that students will also get to study words to learn more vocabulary and see the patterns in the English language. There are some key points that this book talks about. In Phonics Level 3, students will learn the soft C, which is S, and the soft G, which is J. Students will learn letter blends. For example, S, St, Sp, or Ult and Students will also learn silent letters. For example, the silent K in no, the silent W in right, the silent B in bomb, and the silent GH in the word light. So for students to start learning more silent letters, as well as special rules with different letters, this book is great for students to practice with. This book is Level 4 with the phonics, word study, and phonics. This book is very similar to Level 3, but it adds more difficult phonograms. For example, the letter CH, which has 3 sounds in English. Ch, k, sh, ch, k, sh. This book will go over the different sounds of the more difficult phonograms and give students more practice with words. So it has some similarities with Level 3, but it has more challenging phonograms and silent letters for students to practice with. This is Word Study and Phonics, book number 5. This book is really awesome because it introduces R-control vowels. In English, about 25% of our words have the letter R or R-controlled vowels in them. Learning how to pronounce the letter R is very important in English to communicate and to be able to understand when others are communicating with you. There are other things that are discussed in Level 5, but what I thought was most important is the R control vowels. They'll have AR, R, ER, IR, and UR, which have the same sound, OR, OR, AIR, air, ARE, air, EAR, like in the word early. I know it looks like the word ear, but this R control sound is actually like in the word, once again, early. And then the word ear, once again. These R control vowels are practiced in this book, and I think it's a great starting point for students to be able to hear the different ways R is made in English. This is the last book in the word study in phonics that I use in class. This book is Level 6 because it is a little more challenging. Some of the key points in Level 6 are the use of additional phonograms. In particular, the CI and TI phonogram, which both make the sound sh like SH in English. For example, lotion and facial. This book also uses more R-controlled vowel practice. This is the final book, and I think it's great for getting students to learn a little bit more about vowels and unique phonograms that we have in English. Next, we have some additional books from Spectrum. However, these are not phonics books. These books are for language arts, for grammar. I have 3 levels for students when they're studying grammar in English. I use these sometimes with my students if they're studying for a particular grammar point in school, or if their parents request that they like them to have a little bit more grammar practice outside of what they get normally at school. So these books are great because they have a lot of pictures. They're helpful in learning new vocabulary, and they make it very easy to understand grammar in English. So if you're looking for additional grammar practice for your child, I highly recommend using one of these language arts books. Next, what we have are my daily word problem math books. So I use these books sometimes as a game with my students during class, or because parents may want them to have a little additional math problems using English. So you get both math practice and also English practice at the same time. These books, I would say, do a little bit of multiplication, addition, subtraction, division, but at the level of an elementary school student, which can be a little challenging because you have to pick up key English words to understand what the math problem is wanting you to do. So if you'd like for your student to have additional practice learning math vocabulary in English using simple math, I would recommend using these books. The next set of books that I use in my class, these are more so for high school students. They're a little bit more challenging. So maybe high school or advanced junior high school student. These books are daily paragraph editing. In these books, they'll give you a brief paragraph in English and you have to find the mistakes and edit them. These books are great for students in high school who are learning to find mistakes on their own, who are a little bit more advanced and are able to look, see, and correct what they see wrong in the English sentence that they're reading. If you'd like for your student to have additional practice with editing only, these books are great for editing. They show you how to make marks, and I'll put an example as well on the screen. But these books show you how to make marks in English about how we edit our papers. We edit our papers a little differently maybe than other countries are used to. So for example, if something needs to be capitalized, we'll put 3 lines under that letter. So if your student's going to be working in a system in America, like a school system that is a little different from Japan, I would recommend learning those markings because their teacher will check it in school and will most likely use this style of markings to let your student know why there is a mistake and what the mistake is. So if you're looking for additional assistance editing English for more of a grammar challenge, I highly recommend the daily paragraph. I have 2 levels. I have level 2 and level 3 for daily paragraph. The next books I'm going to talk about are the Spectrum reading books. I'm only going to show 2 of the books, but I have all 6. From 1 all the way to 6, the books tell different stories. A lot of the stories talk about American culture, our cultures from around the world. So I think it's an excellent book to learn about places far away from home if you happen not to live in the United States. A lot of my students will read these books, and then inside the story next to it, there's going to be comprehension or understanding questions. So these books give students a chance to practice their pronunciation through reading, and also their writing, because there's another part of the story that lets them write and give a comprehension type of test about what they just read. So if you're interested in your child using reading and comprehension, then I highly recommend using these reading spectrum books. These are actually the most popular books that I use when I'm teaching my students. They love learning about the different countries, and usually I'll add something additional to the textbook when I'm teaching. I'll have pictures from overseas or videos that teach them a little bit more about what they're reading, because a lot of the stories are from American history or American culture, or if it is from another country around the world, I want them to be able to understand what they're learning about. So these books are some of the most popular books that I use because the stories are very fun and children seem to enjoy them. So once again, if you're looking for something that uses reading and comprehension, which checks their understanding and lets them practice writing, these are the books that I would recommend, the Spectrum books. And again, there are 6 levels. I would say elementary is about level 1. For you to be able to read these books, you would have to be able to read, write, and understand English at maybe a 3rd or 4th grade level. Or it'd be a little bit too difficult because these books are going to use present tense and past tense words. So if your reader is a little stronger and can handle doing the past tense and present tense in English, these books would be a great start to practicing English. This is the last book that I'm going to show you. This book is called the CVC Word Families book. I use this book all the time, especially when I have very young or very new learners of English. CVC means consonant, vowel, consonant. So they're going to be all 3-letter words. In this book, students will see a picture, and then they have to cut out the bottom letters and paste them up here. So for example, you can see this says cat, but the word letters are not in the correct order. So your student has to sound out the letters and put them in the correct order. I usually will give this to my students who are using the Daily Phonics book if they need a little additional help with learning the sounds of English. And it's nice because they get to cut things out and paste them and color the pictures. So if you have a younger learner and they do need a little more help learning how to use 3-letter words in English with consonant, vowel, consonant words, I highly recommend the CVC Words Family book.